that's bright, come take a seat on the beam. We gather where laughter meets. Every Tuesday's a trip, come share your flair. In this warm embrace, there's love everywhere. Talk it out, all vibes alright. Nobody's wrong in our light tonight. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. From stories of pride to journeys of heart, we celebrate life, each unique part. A safe haven here, where spirits soar free. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. Let the colors shine bright in the warmth of the night. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. Let the colors shine bright in the warmth of the night. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. With each word we share, we bring the light. Join the talk show, let your heart take flight. Oh, 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 oh.
Hey guys, it's SayCo Alford from the SayCo Show. I hope you're doing great. Okay, so let's talk about serendipitous situations. Have you ever felt that magical moment when you just say, wait a second, this is kind of weird, or have I been here before? Is this deja vu? Is this a serendipity moment? When you just like run into someone that you just weren't expecting at all, or you were out and about and someone said, let's just hit that shop real quick, and then you go in and find a first edition book or something. It's kind of crazy how the universe brings us to either somebody or an object, and you're just like, wait, why did this happen? And why does it happen so often? And also, when it happens, how magical it is. I love these moments. I was flying a trip. Y'all know that I'm a flight attendant. And I was on a trip, and the guys that I was flying with, we had such a great time. But this weird thing happened. We were delayed and rerouted, and we were going to go on one jet, then we were going to go on another jet, then they moved us to a jet next door. Everything was shuffling. But then, as we were getting on the airplane to help the crew that was coming in so we could load up and go, one of my crew members saw a gentleman that he hadn't seen in forever, and they had exchanged bracelets. Now, I don't know the whole story. There was something that they were discussing, or they ran into each other. I don't know the whole conversation. But basically, when they saw each other, that connection, that serendipitous moment happened, and I was standing there with my crew watching this happen. And it just made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I was like, oh my God, I'm witnessing something here. And they were both just really speechless and in shock, and you could see it on both their faces. And so that gentleman was deplaning, and of course there's other passengers behind him, but we were all, standing around helping the incoming crew, and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And they shook hands and kind of, fist bumped and whatnot. And he's like, dude, I'm still wearing them. And then my crew members said, so am I. And they both looked down at their wrist. They'd exchanged these beaded bracelets that really meant something to them about, situations that had happened in their life and what they had discussed years ago with each other. And they both looked down at their bracelets and said, I'm still wearing it. So there was a moment, and there's a whole back chapter to this story that I don't know anything about, but it was one of those moments that you just go, oh my God, that man just told him that he was rerouted and shuffled. We knew that we were delayed, rerouted, shuffled jets, etc., etc. And somehow the universe created this serendipity situation that we witnessed live in real time. And I think what made it even more spectacular is that we weren't supposed to be on that plane. We weren't supposed to be helping that crew. We were about 5 hours late leaving Dallas, and everything happened. Of course, everything was in like fast forward because, there were passengers behind this gentleman and he was trying to walk off the plane. We were walking on, and they just gave each other a, hey, I've got your email. We're going to talk about seeing each other later. Bye. And it was just a moment where you go, how in the gay hell did that just happen? It was just a beautiful spark of energy where you just get the chills. Do you know what I'm talking about? There was this one time that I was looking for a first edition book, and I was with some friends out of town, and on a whim, we were walking to a place for brunch. They ended up telling us the wait was like an hour and a half, so we said, well, we'll just go somewhere else. So we jumped in a cab and we went like across the city, 25-minute drive to another place. And they told us as well that there was a wait of like 30 minutes. So we said, well, why don't we just walk around here? So because of that whole situation, that serendipitous universe moment, we went into a antique thrift store place, and it was like an old-fashioned home that had been turned into the business. And I was just wondering, I don't like buying large, heavy objects when I'm out of town. And so I didn't want to ship anything home, and I didn't want to deal with anything really, really big. So I was kind of blurry-eyed shopping. Do you know what that is? When you're with someone and they're all excited about shopping, but you are not, so you're totally checked out. And so I was just kind of hovering like in front of them or behind them. And then I just had this feeling like go into this room and this booth, and I went in, and there was the first edition book that I was looking for. And it just made me go, how did this just happen? How did I tell the universe probably 100 times, I want that book, but I want it to be the first pressing, or I want it to be autographed, or I want the book, but I don't want the paperback. I want the hardback that possibly was given away at a signing, a special event. And then you just kind of, all these little boxes and cubes just keep clicking together like a puzzle, and you find yourself standing in front of it. And the glorious thing sometimes about antiquing is that you'll be standing in front of something that you will treasure. You will try to take it with you in the coffin. And to someone else, it's not a treasure, but they know it holds value. So someone will just go, yeah, $20. So you're just like, yes, yeah, I'll take it for 20. Thank you so much. And you walk out of there going, holy shit, this is worth way more money. And they weren't appreciating it, but now I will appreciate this item because I'm very materialistic, y'all. And I've talked about it, especially about my Patsy Cline's collection and stuff. And so I will treasure an object. I don't have kids and I'm in my 50s. I treasure objects. And so it's just that moment, that magical moment where you just come across something and you weren't like just violently searching for it. You weren't going antique store to antique store or website to website, auction to auction, not on Etsy, not on eBay, not on Amazon. You were searching for a particular old item. And then all of a sudden, it's right in front of you. That day, we were supposed to be at another part of town, in another city, at another brunch restaurant. And it just all fell into place. And it's such an exciting moment, too, because you're like, wait a second. I'm not even supposed to be here. That type of thing. Another situation happened. I was on another trip, and a crew member, there were several of us in this sports bar. And we're watching the game and drinking and eating and laughing and cutting up and just having a great time. And a gentleman walked in, and one of my buddies said, "Oh my God, that man looks like someone I know back home." And he's like, "I'm going to talk to him." I'm like, "You've had too much to drink. Don't talk to strangers." I don't want people to join us. You know me, guys. When I'm uncomfortable, I kind of turn off. I don't want bright lights. I don't want to be by a window. I don't want to be outside. I don't like the heat. You know me. And so I was already kind of turned off by the lighting, and we were by a window, and I tried to get them to not sit outside because they wanted to, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just playing along, becoming a part, playing the part, you know. And he ends up talking to this man. They're walking through the sports bar to get a menu, and he goes, "Hey, excuse me, are you, so-and-so?" And he goes, "No, but when I walked in, you really remind me of someone. You look like someone back home in Ohio." And he goes, "I was raised in Ohio." And he goes, "Oh my God, this is so weird. You look like so-and-so." And he goes, "Nope, that's not me, but you look like so-and-so to me." And it happened to be my friend's elementary and middle school best friend. They also went through Little League together and Cub Scouts and everything else. They were inseparable from kindergarten up to 8th or ninth grade. And because they were just looking at each other, they saw a mirror of another person. They tracked it all together. So this guy is just flabbergasted. He's just like, "Wait a second. Do you really know him?" And he goes, "Wait, do you have his number?" So they're texting the guy that they think he looks like, and he says, "Just tell him my name, tell him the school, the prep school, the Little League team, and ask him if it's him." And we're all just sitting there having beers and talking, and all of a sudden his phone goes off, and this man gets this look on his face, and he looks up at my buddy and says, "It's him." And he goes, "Bullshit, you're kidding me." So it's just weird things like that. Like we were rerouted. We weren't supposed to be in that town. And that man was going to go and eat or go to a bar in the airport. He decided to stay at one of the hotels that was connected to the airport in Denver, and ran into us. And then they started the conversation, without being shy. They just spoke to each other. He went, "Hey man, you look like someone." And he goes, "Nope, that's not me, but I am from Ohio, but you kind of look like someone." And it all just kind of clicked. Remember that game that people used to play, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, where everyone's connected by at least 6 degrees of something? I don't know how it works or how it went. It's a long time ago, but it kind of reminds me of that, where you go, "Wait, this is weird." Have you ever been in a place where you just kind of feel energy like, "I know I've never been here, but I've been here"? It's that weird place between serendipity and deja vu, where you just say, "This is weird. I feel weird right now." And a lot of times people will say, "Well, maybe it's a full moon." We dismiss it as a situation like that. But I think everything is for a reason. I know a lot of people think that everything falls into place just by random. I think all of this is connected somehow, some way, by a grander plan. And that may make me sound silly or ridiculous or crazy, and I don't care. I don't care how I sound. It's those moments that just makes, the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And you can't explain it, but it's really like fun. And then you're just like jazzed. You're like, "Oh my God, that just happened. And I can't believe it happened. And I was here to witness it." Or "it just happened to me." There's times that I've been in a place where I would swear on my life savings. Sometimes I would swear on my life that I have been there or lived there. And in this lifetime, I have not. So it's just that weird potion of situational feelings where you're like, "This feels very familiar, but I know I've never been here." Stuff like that just gives me the heebie-jeebies, but yet it's magical, and it kind of awakens something in you that you're looking for, that next situation where you go, wait a second, this feels like a weird day. Or am I like wired differently today? And there's been times where a friend has texted me and said, hey, what you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm having a hell of a day. We have been rerouted and we're delayed, and it's been just such a strange day. And I thought I was going to Miami, but now I'm in Seattle, and it's just weird. And lots of times, friends will say, oh, well, it's the blah, blah, blah of the blah, blah, blah. And they'll talk about astrology and what sign and stars and constellation we're in right now, and the third moon of Venus and all this stuff. And you just kind of go, because I don't know anything about any of that. But when people talk to me about it, it always seems to fit or make sense. Let me give you an example. So on this trip that all those serendipitous moments were happening, a buddy of mine texted and he was like, what's going on? And I told him, it's just been a weird day. Things have been happening that are strange, and it's like all just wired differently today. There's a different energy or frequency around me. I can't explain it. And he brought up something that we're going through right now, Mercury, blah, 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 and brought it up. And I was like, wait, what? And so I looked it up, and it said travel delays, serendipitous situations, and it just went through the whole list. And that list looked like the day that I was having. So it's just those things that you go, look, I don't know about any of this, but it's happening and you believe it because you're in it. I love those moments. Other friends have told me some really great, just heartwarming stories of serendipity type situations where you say, that was for a reason. One girl said she saw a guy in a shop and they kind of looked at each other and smiled and walked on. And like 10 years later, she was back in that city visiting her aunt, decided to go to that shop. They ran into each other again and fell in love and got married. And you just kind of go, wait, what? Now, I know that there was a movie that was very similar to that. And I want to say it was with one of the actors. It's a brother-sister actor team. I forget, John Cusack, where it was like a serendipitous movie, or it was called Serendipity or something. Excuse me. And it just kind of makes you say, wait, has this happened so many times that playwrights and directors and movie producers decided to pick up on this and go with it for a movie? Because it just makes sense. It happens all the time, every day, to so many people that you're just like, wait, what? It just makes you go, wait, what? Anyway, let's take a moment and take a break, and I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'd like to take a moment to thank one of our faithful sponsors, Mount Pisgah Fellowship. Their continued support has helped make this show possible through the years, and I truly appreciate everything they've done for me, especially after I left the radio station. If you're looking for a welcoming church home here in the Metro Nashville area or Middle Tennessee, I encourage you to visit Pastor Michael and the wonderful congregation at Mount Pisgah Fellowship. There you'll meet just the most special people, guys, and they welcome me just with open arms. They meet every Sunday at 2 p.m. at 701 Gallatin Pike South in Madison. So whether you're searching for a place of worship or simply looking for a church family to fellowship with, you will always receive a warm welcome. And they open their doors to all. We're talking all humans. Our sincere thanks to Mount Pisgah Fellowship for being a valued sponsor of my show. And now, let's get back to the topic. All right, welcome back to the show. I am sitting here just relaxing. I've been watching the soccer games. What are you guys thinking about all that? FIFA World Cup, it's just so exciting. I love it to pieces. And I've had probably the best time watching it this time. It's been a lot of fun. I just made some percolated coffee in my antique vessel on the stove, and I made some drop biscuits this morning. And it just feels like a really nice day to relax and be lazy and just reflect on everything that's going on in my life and how to plan for next week, etc., etc. This month is going to be really busy for me, guys. And so that brings us to the next part of the show where I just might have to go on a little bit of a summer hiatus. So my birthday is this month. I have to recertify with the FAA and my airline this month. So it means a lot of online courses and exams. And so if I miss a show or two this month, I hope you all won't be too upset with me. It's just a really busy time. And then you add in people visiting from out of town, a big function at my church. Then we have people visiting, family visiting. It was 4th of July, then it's my birthday, recertification. It's just a lot this month. And it's always been that way for some reason. July has always been a very, very busy month for me. And I guess I should be happy, right? I'm blessed. I'm still here on the earth in this realm. And so, yeah, it's going to be a little busy, guys. And I just wanted to give you a heads up just in case I miss a show. Now, listen, I love doing the show. There's nothing wrong going on. You know that I'm an open book with y'all. I tell y'all everything. And so I just feel really overwhelmed, but in a good way because it's all fun, exciting things coming up. And so we'll get back on track come August, and then we'll hit it hard all the way through until we hit holiday hiatus, where we take off. We will do a special show on the first episode of the Harry Potter HBO Max series. And then we'll come back after holiday hiatus for season 4 in January of 2027. That's also when I have to go back to the doctors at Vanderbilt to do more cancer screenings and whatnot, just making sure everything's okay. So that's my next time to get checked out and whatnot. Okay, so let's talk more about serendipitous moments. There's been a couple times in my life that I cannot explain certain situations. And a lot of them happened when I was a kid. And they must have been quite grand memories because I still remember them now. And y'all know that, we call it flight attendant syndrome. There's so much radiation in my daily work life on the plane that we don't have very good memories as flight attendants. And I've been flying for 28 years. And so my memory's not so good. But I will say this. I remember those moments where you just kind of scratch your head and say, wait, what just happened? And there were moments where I swear that I had already lived a certain amount of time. We had a cousin that would come and stay with us for, sometimes several weeks to several months. And it felt like it was a rerun of a certain situation where you just go, wait, what? What just happened here? I thought we've already done this. Where you wake up kind of half asleep and you realize it feels kind of the same way. So that's kind of interesting. And okay, let me give you another instant here. I'm watching on mute on the TV right now. There's an old episode of Soap. Did y'all ever watch that show, Soap? And just now when I told y'all that I was really enjoying my cup of coffee made out of my vintage Pyrex all-glass percolator, I look up at the screen while I'm talking to y'all, and they're pouring a cup of coffee out of the same antique vessel. See, it's just stuff like that where you're like, wait, how did that just go down? How did that just happen? I just did it, or I'm just drinking coffee out of the same vessel. And you look up and you see something and you're like, that is so weird. Stuff like that happens all the time. And maybe it's because I just have my inner eye open to it, or I'm susceptible to it for some reason. I don't know. But I want to ask y'all, have you ever had moments like that where you just cannot explain what's going on? I would love to hear your serendipitous moments down in the comments. Or if you want, you could give me a voicemail or a text, 615-805-4363 here at the studio, and we'll talk all about it. So I think it's just maybe that we want something to occur and our subconscious somehow makes us travel or prepare ourselves for that situation. So maybe it's not as spontaneous as we think, because I've always said all my life I've believed in the power of confession, speaking things out loud. And I believe that if you use your audible voice, along with your thoughts and prayers and meditation, whatever you want to call it, and you actually hear yourself say, I don't want cancer anymore, and I am going to be healed and whole and have a long life. If you keep saying it enough, you're going to start manifesting and believing. And perhaps that's the cousin to serendipity. Those moments where you just kind of scratch your head and said, I don't know how this happened or how it fell into place, but it did. And I wanted it to. There's very few times that you go, oh my God, I didn't want this to happen, or I didn't want to see them, and there they are. It's extremely rare that serendipity meets me with a negative tone. And so maybe that's why I like it even more so, because it's very rare that it's a negative. Whether it be a negative memory or situation or whatever is going on, it's very rare that serendipitous moments are negative, in my opinion, or in my, past. It just always seems to be like a wonderful surprise. And, it's just weird how things fall into place. Another example, guys, is, well, you know what? Let's take a break, and I'll come back with that final thought. Hey guys, if you enjoy what we're doing here on the SayCo Show and would like to help us continue bringing meaningful conversations to listeners all around the country and the world, we'd love to hear from you. We're always looking to partner with businesses, organizations, and individuals who share our vision and would like to become a sponsor of the show. Sponsorship is a great way to support independent podcasting while introducing your organization to a growing audience. So, if you're interested in learning more about sponsorship opportunities, please give us a call or a text, 615-805-4363, or you can email us, thesaycoshow@writeme.com. We'd be honored to talk to you about becoming part of the SayCo Show family. Thank you again for believing in independent voices and helping me continue to share stories that inspire, encourage, and connect people. And now, back to the show. Okay, so I've always said that this podcast has been such a wonderful surprise. I cannot believe that I am still doing it, and we're in our, it's been 3.5 years of doing this, but I cannot believe that because I hate my voice, and I don't like conversation with strangers very much, even though I have to be extroverted and I have to be like on when I'm on the plane, and I have to be over kind and whatnot because of the position that I'm in. And sometimes I feel like I'm just really putting it on thick, because in reality, in my personal life, the real me, I am introverted, and I prefer to be, in a dark room and be away from people for a period of time as well. And I bet a lot of y'all didn't know that, because you guys just hear me talking away about everything. But it really is a very special situation that has happened with the podcast, is that I never knew that I wanted this so bad, but it's just been such a special surprise. Let me give you a backstory. I've talked about this in past episodes on Podbean. And I want to remind everyone that there are hundreds of shows over on Podbean. If you're listening to this on another platform, you don't have all the SayCo Show episodes. You have to go over to Podbean. You don't have to download the app if you don't want to or become a member, but you can listen to the SayCo Show from 3.5 years ago, and there's many, many, many hours of the SayCo Show over there. But I've talked about it on Podbean where, as a child, I just wanted to fit in and be chosen to be played with, et cetera, et cetera. I always felt different. I always knew I was gay, but I didn't know what gay was, but I always knew that I felt different. And I had an older sister type situation. We'll just leave it at that. That was about 5-6 years older than me. And I always wanted to play with her. She was really into tape recording and recording shows, and she would interview guests all by herself in her room, and I would beg to be on the show. And I was always told no, or there wasn't enough time, and I would always say, well, can I play? Can I be on the show? Can I be on the recording? And this is going to date me, y'all, but she had an old reel-to-reel tape recorder, and you could rewind it and record over it, and she would record show after show after show, and I always wanted to be on, and she'd keep me in the hallway on a chair and she'd crack the door and say, you're the next guest, hold on. And I would hear her, I'd be listening at the door, listening to her do this whole elaborate show. And then she would say, all right, thank you for being a part of this show. Take care. God bless. And she'd stop I could hear the tape recorder stop. And she'd open her door and say, I'm really sorry, but we ran out of time and you weren't on the show. And I had been sitting there wanting to play and be a part of it for hours. And then you fast forward to, through technology and time and whatnot. And then me being offered a show on the radio station where I could just be my real, true, authentic self. And it's just a very full circle serendipitous moment where you just go, wow, way back then, she wouldn't let me play with her or be a part of that. But then you fast forward 40-something years, and here I am using technology through an app and a recording device where I get to now put on the show and talk about, certain things and topics and memories in my life. This show has been kind of an open journal for me. And I've always told the people, my chosen family close to me, that, if anything ever happens to me, whether it's cancer or a plane crash or whatever, they'll have all these shows and they'll hear me laughing and breathing, and it would be comforting to them. And that's one of the reasons why I keep doing this, because I want as much of my journal and life somehow documented. I'm just a regular person. There's nothing really that exceptional about me. I'm not that talented on many, many things. And so this is kind of building a virtual online open diary journal book to leave for the ones that I've chosen to be special in my life. And it's just, it cracks me up to remember all those times that I wanted to be on that reel-to-reel recording show. And then you fast forward and here I am doing this sometimes, weekly and sometimes more than once a week. And so it just makes you scratch your head and say, isn't this something that all those times I wasn't invited or I couldn't play the game then, but I'm certainly doing it now. And so this show has been such a full circle moment for me that I can now share. And even though I'm introverted, I'm quite shy. Unless I really know you, I don't really talk a lot. I'm pretty shy until I get to know you. Then you can't shut me up. But y'all have been such a wonderful, supportive surprise. And talking about different topics and my life and all things queer has just been such a gift. It's let me vent and heal And it's given me the opportunity to share a portion of my life, my personality, a segment of me. It's really been something. And I so appreciate all of you listening and gathering weekly to download and share, like, and follow, and all that good stuff. And I guess what I wanted to bring across on this episode is, if you want it, you can have it. You just have to have your, I don't know, third eye or spirit or soul or heart, or you just have to have whatever gear that is for serendipity to come in and say, okay, I'll give it to you. And if you try hard enough and you meditate or prayer or speak it into existence, however you want to, I don't know. I'm not that educated. Y'all know that. Whatever fits, work it into how you live your life and how you think. If you're open to things are going to come to you. I always say, whatever you bounce out bounces back. The universe will make sure of that. If you're constantly saying, I'm broke, I'm sad, I'm sick, that's what's going to bounce back. And so I try to live my life open to serendipity, open to new thoughts, new ideas. I want to keep sharpening my street smarts, if you will, my life wisdom every day, and be open to new things, whether it's for me or not for me. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know right now. But tomorrow, I want to know more. And I want to keep having really neat moments where you say, what did the universe just do? Just like this podcast. After the radio station went under because of funding, they just ran out of money, y'all. People started telling me we want to continue with the show. I had a big following the first year and a half where people were in the studio audience watching me do this. And they pushed me to do this, and now it's become part of my life. I can't picture going longer than a couple weeks without recording an episode. I miss being live, don't get me wrong, but it's still wonderful to share with y'all what's going on in my life. And those of you that continue to keep coming back and listening, I just so appreciate it. It's been so much fun. And I look forward to however the show is going to progress or change or mesh into something else. Who knows, coming next year. Well, I'm rambling. I'd love to hear your comments on serendipitous moments. And I really hope you guys are having an incredible summer. Now, here in Nashville, we're about 10 minutes north of downtown in a little town called Goodlettsville. It has been burning hot, y'all. We've been in the 90s and hundreds, but then the humidity has kicked it up all the way up into, we broke several heat records this week. And so it's been sticky and hot here, which I hate. You know I'm a winter guy. But we're going to get through it. Has it been interesting where you live? I'd love to hear about it. My buddy, one of our greatest listeners up in Canada, Todd, said that it was super hot up there during their Canadian Day celebrations, and where they celebrate their country and independence and whatnot. So he said it was really hot up in Canada. So if it's hot in Canada, it's hot down here. And I cannot wait for fall and winter. I love spring, don't get me wrong. It's a really pretty time. And we had a long, cool spring. So now it's time to get into the nitty-gritty. But I love fall, and winter is my favorite. And so anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. Be open to serendipitous moments. And I'd love to hear about all of it in the comments. Speaking to a gentleman, he's working on a new song. He's been on the show before, Anthony Wade. He said when he gets it done and recorded and whatnot, he'll be back on the show to talk about it and maybe even sing it live. So we're in the works with that. Travis Dean was on the show again a couple weeks ago with his new single. Tonight, he's going to be singing it live at Gospel Gathering Hour, which is hosted at Play Dance Club, a gay bar downtown Nashville. And so if we can get everything to fall into place, we might join him for the show tonight. So if you're listening locally here in Metro Nashville or Middle Tennessee, and you're wanting to meet me or Travis or go to a really fun show, it's tonight. It happens on the first Sunday of every month, and it's called Gospel Gathering by Play, and Kitty Kincaid is the host. Anyway, that's the plan, and I hope y'all are doing great. Until we talk to one another again, I'll talk to you later. Hey there, friends. We'd love to hear from you. Have an idea for a future episode, or maybe a guest that we should interview, or a topic you'd enjoy being discussed? Well, just let us know. You're welcome to leave us some suggestions and feedback. And here's something exciting as well. Maybe some of you all didn't know. If you're in the Nashville area, if you've ever wanted to experience the show in person, ask us about joining us when we're doing a live taping. It's a great opportunity to see how the magic happens and become part of the conversation. For comments, questions, topic ideas, or just information about attending a live recording, just give us a call or a text, 615-805-4363, or you can email the show, SayCo Show@writeme.com. So don't be a stranger, drop us a line. We can't wait to hear from you. And thanks for listening to the SayCo Show, where every conversation begins with my wonderful listeners, just like yourselves. I'll talk to you later.